This is a result of many, many years of horrific recruitment decisions, horrific decisions in and out of the club, of ownership, all the way through to managers, through to scouts, through to people who've been in positions that have signed players, and it's all come on top all at once. It's like the perfect storm of absolute rubbish. And it's come on top. The moment has finally come. And last night at the end of the game, I actually watched it in a pub. There were 100 United fans in there, and there was complete and utter silence. Dejection, people walking out quietly, no people angry, no people, just quiet, like in disbelief at ultimately what they'd just watched, what they'd seen, what they're experiencing, what they're going through. But honestly, I can sit there and say that at the end of the game, I looked up at that television and sort of continued to sit there for probably 5, 10, 15 minutes myself and thought, maybe the club needs this. Maybe they need it. Sometimes you need a clip round the ear in my life. My dad used to say, you need a clip round the ear, son, if you carry on. And you know something, that club needs a clip round the ear, and this is the clip round the ear it needed and it deserves for everything that it's done in this last 10 years. And it's been coming, a series of terrible decisions are coming home to roost, and ultimately we can blame it on 11 players out on the pitch. We can blame it on a manager for his lack of substitutions. Yes, there were things that I think maybe that lots would have done differently last night, that maybe changes should have happened earlier. Garnacho should have been on the pitch earlier. I thought Diallo should have gone to wing back and maybe just throw more at it. Got CHERKI on earlier. Just get more on the pitch, maybe go even to 4 at the back, get Maguire up front early, whatever it is you had to do to make the team more competitive and look like they were sort of going to score a goal. But it never happened. And this has been coming. This has been coming, just full stop. In every single way, it's been coming. The financial issues off the pitch, the PSR issues, the losses that the club are now incurring, the debt that the club's now saddled with, that Jim Ratcliffe spoke to me about on the Oval many months ago, that they were running out of cash. Manchester United, once the richest club in the world, the best stadium one of the best stadiums in this country, well, the best stadium in this country, one of the best stadiums in the world, the best training ground in this country, is now in a situation where it's running out of cash. And that is something that just needs to be, I can't even believe I'm saying that. And now we've got a situation whereby, I think Manchester United today are saying that Ruben Amorim will get £100 million. That's the sort of noise that I'm hearing, that's where they're at. Ruben Amorim is going to stay. Good. That's fine. They're going to give him £100 million. I would probably ask the question, who's going to have to be sold to fund that? There's going to have to be some incoming money, I suspect, to be able to act.
Mainu.
So it's
Academy products.
You're selling Garnacho, you're selling Mainu, you've sold McTominay, Rashford's gone, and maybe they're all the right decisions, those. But I tell you what, there's something fundamentally wrong when you're ripping the heart out of an academy at a football club. I used to say 3 things. Manchester United, they have to win, they have to play young players from the academy, and they have to play entertaining football. That's it. Now that, to be fair, sounds really simple. Those 3 things are non-negotiables. Win, produce young players, make sure you play them, make sure you give them a pathway, and you play entertaining football. All 3, if you sell Garnacho and Mainu, you've got rid of McTominay, you've got rid of Rashford, and let's say they're not, but you don't get rid of your own all en masse within 12 to 18 months if you're Manchester United to suit sustainability rules. That's what they're having to do here. I don't believe that they will be selling these players if it wasn't for sustainability rules, so that 100% of that money goes and deals with the problems that they've got. So we're now we've now become a model of team that are selling young players to fund the mistakes of the ownership over 10 years.
But Gary, you mentioned there Rashford and you mentioned McTominay, and let's not forget Anthony as well. These players, when they leave, are doing better elsewhere. Rashford's done fine at Villa. McTominay's done great. Anthony's done great. He's in a European final. You've now got a manager who feels like, to me, the comments made last night, the quote was, if the board and the fans feel I'm not the right guy, I will go in the next day without any conversation about compensation, but I will not quit again. I am confident in my job. For me, those quotes were, I can see, now I've been here 6 months, I can see it's rotten to its core. I would be fine if I went. He's seeing that you talked about. There's something wrong. There's something rotten. It's not. What is it? What is it? And is the manager seeing it? And is he asking for a way out?
Look, Rebecca, I think that Ruben Amorim is so honest in his press conferences to a point of fault, actually. And how can we sit here and say to a manager, don't be as honest as what you are being? Because to be fair, I've interviewed him. I think he's fantastic. And I think he basically says what we're all probably thinking. They're the worst club side in history. There's problems at the club. However, don't offer yourself up. Don't offer yourself up ever. Ruben, don't do that. I'm talking as a 50-year-old person here who's at times thought that's the right thing to do. He's very young. He's saying the admirable thing. I once watched Kevin Keegan in an England dressing room talk with real emotion at the end of a game about how I've taken it as far as I can, and he handed his notice in. But he'd had 2.5 years in the job. He'd had a couple of years in the job. Ruben, you've been there 6 months.
What does that tell you?
Don't offer yourself up. Just tell us how you're going to essentially drive a bus through that dressing room and what you're going to do to fix it. That's all you need to do. Focus on that. They've said that you're going to stay at the start of next season. The fans want you to stay. I include myself in that as well. I'm a fan. I want him to stay at the club. I want them to support him. I want them to give him a chance. Stop offering yourself up. Stop doing the honourable thing. The reasons that you're losing and the reasons that ultimately this club is failing at this moment in time is a series of things that not all are down to you. You didn't sign any of those players apart from Dorgu. You didn't sign any of those players. None of them are yours. If in a year and a half or in a year's time we're talking about a couple of transfer windows and you've made some significant changes to that squad and they're starting to become your team and we're still playing the same way, obviously he knows then at that point he's going to be in trouble. But he didn't want to take this job, Rebecca. He didn't want to take this job partway through a season. And what happens when you're a young person sometimes? You say, no, I'd rather come at the end of the season. But you take a job in your life sometimes because you get swayed into it and you think you're going to miss the opportunity, or you're doing it for a different reason, or you just end up folding and basically sort of giving in and saying, right, I'll do it. No, we need you now, or else it won't be there at the end of the season. And you'll be looking at it and think, I wish I just said no. That's what he'll be thinking. But now is not a time for him to offer himself up. Now is a time the club are supporting him. They're definitely going to put him in place at the start of the season. Just tell us how you're going to get it right. And I want to point towards Luke Shaw's interview, because I thought that was equally as telling, where he talked about we've got to look ourselves in the mirror and decide whether we're good enough to play for Manchester United. One, Luke, it's not your job to determine that. A player at Manchester United should have no control as to whether they're there or not. The manager of the football club decides whether you're good enough to play in that football team. He will determine